So the month of Ramadan, the purpose of it is to reflect on what Allah has given you. It's to think about, what Allah has given us. Imagine if we had to stay hungry like this for 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. So that should create empathy in your heart. That should make you think about what you have, what Allah has given you and Allah has deprived other people of. Then the Prophet ﷺ said, وَشَهْرٌ يُزَادُ فِيهِ رِزْقُ الْمُؤْمِنِ. And it is a month in which Allah increases the provisions, the rizq of the believers. And we see that, how our tabletops are filled with different dishes and foods. Okay? This is the rizq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that comes our way. Now there's one caution point, and that is the wastage of food in the month of Ramadan. Check out your fridges before you cook a meal, and check out your bins after you've eaten. We completely forget that this food is a rizq. Rizq means it's a provision. Rizq means it's a provision. Allah provided you with it. Think about that. That's what rizq means. What does rizq mean? Allah granted it you. If He didn't want to, He didn't have to. But He granted you it. Now what do you do with it? What do we do with it? Check out your bins, honestly. And this is not just, checking the bins is not just the responsibility of, sorry, I have to say this, it's not just the responsibility of our mothers and sisters. We eat as well. We live in that household as well. It's the rizq of Allah that came not only to them, to us as well. We are equally responsible when it comes to responding to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So cooking so much that it suffices us. Okay? Cooking so much that would be enough for you, and you want to give to your neighbors as well, as we will see the thawab of doing that. Okay? So, or sending it to the masjid for iftar, for example. But not more than that. And also when you sit down to eat, we usually think that we're going to eat a lot in the first instance, but you realize that you don't. So make sure that you don't put too much in your plate either. Even though you're hungry, you think you're deluded at that point. You think that you're going to eat that much. But trust me, brothers, you don't. That's the biology of our body. You don't. You will fill your plate and you will waste it. So don't waste the rizq of Allah. I'm not going to say the food. I'm going to say don't waste the rizq of Allah. Don't waste the provision of Allah. Don't waste the grant of Allah. It's a grant He's given you. Don't waste it. And it's each of our responsibility. Each of us and every one of us in the household to check our bins and to see how much food has been wasted. And I'm yet to see some sort of statistics on this. And we'd like to know what our local bin services have to say. If we visited them, what happens in the month of Ramadan? And I'm sure there are statistics there. And I'm sure some sort of governmental report is about to come soon. It will come. Because of the amount of wastage we have in the month of Ramadan. The amount of food that we are throwing around and throwing about.